I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel.
The sirens blared across Horizon Colony, their wailing echoing through the transparent dome that separated 3,000 colonists from the harsh atmosphere of Kepler 186f. 9-year-old Nathan Collins wasn't supposed to be in the maintenance tunnels, but something had drawn him there that morning. The same strange feeling that had been growing stronger over the past few weeks. The colony's lights flickered, casting strange shadows through the crystalline support structures. Nathan pressed himself against the cool metal wall, his heart racing not from fear, but from excitement. Above him, the sound of heavy footsteps thundered across the main corridor. Alert, unknown vessels breaching colony airspace. This is not a drill. All civilians proceed to emergency shelters immediately, the colony's AI announced in its maddeningly calm voice. Nathan knew he should run to the shelters. That's what his mother, Dr. Elena Collins, had drilled into him since they'd arrived on Kepler 186f 2 years ago. But the buzzing in his head told him to stay put. The same buzzing that let him know when sandstorms were coming, or when the colony's power grid was about to hiccup. The first explosion rocked the entire section. Through gaps in the maintenance tunnel's ceiling, Nathan caught glimpses of them, the Dreadnought Raiders. Their biomechanical bodies gleamed under the colony's emergency lights, a terrifying fusion of organic tissue and advanced technology. Each one stood 3 meters tall, their bodies covered in overlapping plates that looked like a cross between armor and exoskeleton. "Find the anomaly," one of them growled in a voice that sounded like grinding gears. The readings came from this section. Nathan's heart skipped a beat. Were they looking for him? The buzzing in his head intensified, and with it came a clarity he'd never experienced before. He could sense them, 5 Dreadnought warriors, their cybernetic systems humming with energy. But more than that, he could feel how that energy flowed, how it connected to their organic parts. A loud crash above made him jump. Through the grating, he saw a Dreadnought warrior holding Dr. Victor Hammond, the colony's head of security, by the throat. "Where are the enhanced ones?" the Dreadnought demanded. "Our sensors detected the energy signature." "We don't have any enhanced humans here," Hammond choked out. "We're just a research colony." The Dreadnought's response was to tighten its grip. Something snapped inside Nathan. The buzzing transformed into a roar, and before he knew what he was doing, he had pushed open the maintenance hatch and pulled himself up into the corridor. "Hey!" he shouted, his voice steady despite the terror trying to claw its way up his throat. "Put him down." The Dreadnought turned, its 4 cybernetic eyes focusing on Nathan. It dropped Hammond, who crumpled to the floor gasping for air. "The signature," it said, its voice resonating with something like wonder. "It's coming from this child." Nathan stood his ground as the massive warrior approached. The buzzing in his head had become a symphony, and with perfect clarity, he understood what he needed to do. As the Dreadnought reached for him, Nathan simply reached back. Not with his hands, but with his mind, touching the flowing energy he could sense within the warrior's cybernetic systems. The Dreadnought froze mid-motion. Its eyes flickered, and a sound like a dying machine emerged from its vocal processors. Then, with a noise like 1,000 circuits shorting out at once, the warrior's cybernetic components simply shut down. The organic parts, suddenly unsupported, caused the massive figure to collapse in a heap of metal and flesh. The other Dreadnought warriors turned toward Nathan, their weapons charging with crackling energy. But Nathan wasn't afraid anymore. The buzzing had become a part of him, an extension of his will. He could feel every circuit, every power conduit, every synthetic synapse in their bodies. "That's impossible," one of them growled. "No human child should be able to." Nathan raised his hand, and 4 more Dreadnought warriors discovered exactly what a human child could do. Their systems didn't just shut down, they turned against their organic components, causing the warriors to convulse and collapse. In the sudden silence that followed, Nathan helped Dr. Hammond to his feet. The head of security stared at him with a mixture of awe and fear. "Nathan," he whispered, "what did you just do?" Before Nathan could answer, another explosion rocked the colony. Through the dome, they could see more Dreadnought ships descending from the orange sky. The raiders had come prepared for resistance, but they hadn't prepared for Nathan. As emergency klaxons continued to blare, Nathan Collins, age 9, stood in the corridor of Horizon Colony and made a decision that would change the course of human history. "Dr. Hammond," he said, his voice carrying a confidence that no child his age should possess, "I think we're going to need a bigger security team." Above them, the Dreadnought mothership began to deploy its main invasion force, unaware that they were about to learn a crucial lesson about humanity: never underestimate a human child, especially one who could turn their own technology against them. The Dreadnought mothership hung in Kepler 186f's atmosphere like a twisted metal cathedral, its hull bristling with weapons that could reduce Horizon Colony to atoms. Inside the colony's central command center, Nathan Collins stood before a wall of holographic displays, each showing a different section of the colony under siege. His small hands were steady as he manipulated the control interface, directing emergency responses with the precision of a seasoned commander. Dar. Hammond watched in astonishment as the 9-year-old coordinated with security teams through the colony's communication network. Nathan didn't just relay information, he seemed to be part of the system itself, processing data faster than the colony's AI. "Section 7 needs reinforcement," Nathan said, his eyes never leaving the displays. "The Dreadnought are trying to breach the agricultural dome." His fingers danced across the holographic controls, and security cameras showed 3 more Dreadnought warriors collapsing as their systems failed. "How are you doing this?" Dr. Hammond asked, still nursing his bruised throat. "It's like you're connected to everything," Nathan finished. "I don't know. It's always been there, but never this strong. It's like the Dreadnought woke something up inside me." The command center's doors hissed open, and Dr. Elena Collins rushed in, her research uniform stained with hydraulic fluid from the damaged sections of the colony. "Nathan," she cried, running to embrace her son. When she pulled back, her eyes were wide with worry, and something else. Recognition. "Mom," Nathan said, studying her face, "you know what's happening to me, don't you?" Before Elena could answer, the displays flickered. A new voice, deep and resonant, filled the command center. "This is High Commander Vexthor of the Dreadnought Imperium. Your colony harbors something of great interest to us. Surrender the enhanced human child, and we will spare your settlement." Nathan felt his mother's grip tighten on his shoulders. Dr. Hammond stepped forward, his security training taking over. "How do they know about?" "Because they've been hunting us," Elena interrupted. "Children like Nathan. They've been searching the outer colonies for months." The pieces clicked into place in Nathan's mind. The strange tests his mother had insisted on throughout his life. The way they'd moved from Earth to progressively more distant colonies. She'd been running, hiding him from something. Or someone. "Mom," Nathan said softly, "there are others like me." Elena nodded slowly. "We don't know how many. After humanity began colonizing other worlds, children started being born different. Enhanced. The government tried to keep it quiet, but rumors spread. Some say it's evolution, others say it's the effect of deep space on human genetics. But one thing's certain, you're not alone." The displays crackled again. "You have 10 minutes to comply," Vexthor's voice boomed. "Or we will begin systematic destruction of your colony." Nathan closed his eyes, extending his awareness through the colony's systems. He could feel the Dreadnought ships above them, their energy signatures pulsing like malevolent stars. But he could feel something else too, other presences, distant but growing stronger. Like minds reaching out across space. "They're coming," he whispered. "Who's coming?" Dr. Hammond asked. "The others. I can feel them. Other children, from other colonies. The Dreadnought attacked them too, but they fought back. And now. A smile spread across Nathan's face. Now they're angry. As if in response to his words, new alerts flashed across the displays. Multiple ships were dropping out of hyperspace around Kepler 186f. But they weren't Dreadnought vessels. They were Earth Defense Fleet ships, led by the massive dreadnought, Humanity's Dawn. "This is Admiral Marcus Hayes of the Earth Defense Fleet," a new voice announced across all channels. "Dreadnought forces, you are in violation of protected space. Stand down immediately." But Nathan knew the Dreadnought wouldn't stand down. He could feel Vexthor's fury, the commander's cybernetic systems burning with rage. The Dreadnought had come too far, invested too much in hunting children like him. "Mom," Nathan said, turning to Elena, "I need you to trust me. I know what I have to do." Elena looked at her son, her little boy who suddenly seemed so much older than his 9 years. "Nathan, whatever you're thinking. The Dreadnought want to know what I can do." Nathan's eyes gleamed with an inner light. "Then let's show them. All of us." Through the colony's systems, through the very electromagnetic field of Kepler 186f itself, Nathan reached out to the other enhanced children he could sense on the approaching Earth ships. Their minds met his, a constellation of young consciousness burning bright against the void. As the Dreadnought mothership charged its main weapons, preparing to make good on Vexthor's threat, Nathan Collins and dozens of other enhanced children across the sector joined their abilities together. The resulting surge of power made every electronic system within 1,000 kilometers flicker. Dr. Hammond stared at the displays in awe as Nathan's eyes began to glow with an ethereal blue light. "My God," he whispered, "what are they?" Elena Collins watched her son with a mixture of pride and fear. "They're humanity's future," she said softly. "And the Dreadnought are about to learn why you should never threaten the children of Earth." Space itself seemed to shudder as the combined power of the enhanced children rippled across the sector. Aboard the Dreadnought mothership, High Commander Vexthor watched in horror as his fleet systems began to fail, one ship at a time. Warning lights flashed across his command center as the children's collective consciousness infiltrated their neural networks. "Impossible," Vexthor snarled, his cybernetic enhancements straining against the invisible assault. "They're just children." Through the mothership's viewscreens, he watched as Earth Defense Fleet vessels engaged his now vulnerable ships. But it wasn't the fleet's weapons that terrified him, it was the presence he could feel in his own cybernetic systems, the touch of dozens of young minds working in concert. In Horizon Colony's command center, Nathan Collins stood at the heart of it all. His consciousness extended far beyond his physical form, merged with those of other enhanced children throughout the sector. Through their shared awareness, he could see everything: the Dreadnought fleet's desperate attempts to restore their systems, the Earth Defense Fleet's strategic positioning, and most importantly, the other children. There was Zara Patel, age 11, aboard the EDF Intrepid, her mind blazing like a star as she systematically disabled Dreadnought targeting systems. Marcus Chen, 8 years old, on the frontier colony of New Eden, reaching across space to help coordinate their efforts. Twins David and Diana Rodriguez, barely 7, their combined abilities creating an impenetrable electronic shield around vulnerable colonial settlements. Nathan, his mother's voice seemed to come from very far away. "They're preparing to launch fighters. Mechanical ones, no cybernetic systems for you to affect." Nathan opened his eyes, though his consciousness remained connected to the others. "They think that will save them?" A small smile played across his lips. "They still don't understand what we are." Through their shared consciousness, Nathan reached out to the other children. "Ready?" He thought, and felt their immediate response, a chorus of young minds united in purpose. Admiral Hayes' voice crackled through the colony's communications system. "All ships, be advised. Multiple Dreadnought fighter squadrons launching. Conventional weapons only, our enhanced assets can't affect them." "That's where you're wrong, Admiral," Nathan said, his voice carrying an echo of all the children speaking together. "Watch." As the Dreadnought fighters streamed from their carrier ships, the enhanced children did something unprecedented. Instead of attacking the fighters' non-existent cybernetic systems, they reached into the electromagnetic field of space itself. They could sense every particle, every wave, every quantum fluctuation. The fighters' engines began to sputter and die. Without any cybernetic components to compromise, the children simply altered the electromagnetic fields around the vessels, disrupting their conventional electronic systems. Fighters dropped from space like dead insects, their pilots frantically trying to restore power to their ships. On the bridge of humanity's dawn, Admiral Hayes watched in stunned silence. "By all the stars," he whispered. "They're not just affecting cybernetics. They're manipulating fundamental forces." Vexthor saw it too. His remaining organic eye widened as understanding dawned. "This is why they evolved," he said to no one in particular. "This is how humanity plans to survive the deep void." The children weren't just some random mutation. They were humanity's answer to the challenges of deep space colonization. Natural-born technopaths, capable of interfacing with and controlling not just artificial systems, but the very electromagnetic forces that governed them. Through their shared consciousness, Nathan felt a new presence join them. Another enhanced child, one who had been hiding aboard the Dreadnought mothership itself. Jean Ho, a 10-year-old from one of the first colonies the Dreadnought had attacked. He had been their prisoner for months, but now we free him, Nathan communicated to the others. Their combined power surged through the mothership systems, not just shutting them down but turning them against their masters. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut, trapping Dreadnought warriors in their sections. Life support systems recalibrated, making the atmosphere uncomfortable for Dreadnought biology. "You cannot do this." Vexthor raged, feeling his own cybernetic enhancements begin to turn against him. "We are the Dreadnought. We have dominated space for millennia. And now," Nathan said, his voice carrying across all frequencies, enhanced by the power of every child connected to their network, "you'll learn to share it. Or you'll learn why humanity's children are not to be trifled with." The Dreadnought mothership's engines flared to life, but not under Vexthor's command. The enhanced children, working together, began to move the massive vessel away from the colony. Other Dreadnought ships, those still capable of movement, began to retreat, their crews finally understanding the true nature of their opposition. In the colony's command center, Dr. Hammond stared at the tactical displays in disbelief. "They're actually doing it. They're driving back an entire Dreadnought battle fleet." Elena Collins watched her son with tears in her eyes. Nathan stood straight and tall, his presence somehow filling the room despite his small stature. He was still her little boy, but he was also something more, a symbol of humanity's next step into the cosmos. "No," she said softly. "They're doing more than that. They're showing the galaxy that humanity's children will never be victims. They're showing everyone that the next generation of humans isn't just ready for deep space, they're born for it." Through their shared consciousness, Nathan felt the other children's agreement. They were no longer just scattered individuals with strange abilities. They were a network, a community, a force that would help guide humanity's expansion among the stars. And the Dreadnought had just learned that lesson the hard way. The aftermath of the battle hung in space like a frozen moment. Disabled Dreadnought fighters drifted in lazy orbits around Kepler 186f, while Earth Defense Fleet ships maintained a protective formation around Horizon Colony. But the real action was happening on a level few could perceive, in the invisible networks of energy and information that the enhanced children had claimed as their domain. Nathan Collins stood in the colony's main conference room, now transformed into an emergency command center. Through the vast windows, he could see the Dreadnought mothership being held in position by the combined will of the enhanced children. Around him, colony officials, Earth Defense Fleet officers, and a hastily assembled team of xenobiologists tried to make sense of what they had just witnessed. Admiral Hayes paced the room, his decorated uniform at odds with his bewildered expression. "Let me get this straight," he said, stopping to face Elena Collins. You've known about these abilities? About children like Nathan? Elena nodded, her hand protectively on Nathan's shoulder. Some of us did. A small group of scientists who first noticed the pattern. When humanity began establishing deep space colonies, children started being born different. At first, it was subtle, unusual aptitude with computers, sensitivity to electromagnetic fields. But it was more than that, Nathan interrupted, his voice carrying an authority that made everyone in the room turn to face him. We weren't just good with technology. We were evolving to interface with it, to understand it on a fundamental level. Because that's what humanity needed to survive out here. Through their shared consciousness, Nathan felt the agreement of the other enhanced children. Zara Patel's voice joined his, transmitted through the colony's communication systems. The void between stars is vast and deadly. Regular humans needed ships and suits and systems to survive. But what if humans could evolve to understand those systems instinctively? To become one with them? Natural selection, Dr. Hammond murmured. But at an unprecedented speed. A new voice filled the room, Jean Ho, the rescued prisoner, now safely aboard the EDF Intrepid. The Dreadnought feared us because they saw what we represented. They've spent thousands of years becoming cyborgs, forcibly merging with technology. But humans? We're evolving to bridge that gap naturally. The conference room's displays flickered to life, showing data streams that the enhanced children were collectively processing. Statistics, genetic analyses, incident reports from various colonies, all pointing to a clear pattern of accelerated human evolution. That's why they attacked our colonies, Elena said softly. They weren't just random raids. They were searching for children like Nathan, trying to understand how humanity had achieved in a few generations what took them millennia of cybernetic enhancement to accomplish. Admiral Hayes ran a hand through his gray hair. And now? What happens now that they know what our children can do? Nathan closed his eyes, extending his awareness to the Dreadnought mothership. Through the ship's systems, he could sense High Commander Vexthor and his officers, their cybernetic components still under the children's control. They're afraid, he said. But also, curious. I can feel it in their systems, in the way their organic minds are processing this situation. The room fell silent as the main display showed Vexthor's face, a complex mixture of organic and mechanical parts, his expression unreadable. You could destroy us, the Dreadnought commander said simply. Your children could turn every piece of technology we possess against us. Why don't you? Nathan stepped forward, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of all the enhanced children, because that's not what we're here for. We're not weapons. We're bridges. Through their shared consciousness, Nathan and the other children began transmitting data, not just to the conference room, but to both human and Dreadnought ships. Information about their abilities, about the way they perceive technology in energy fields, about the potential for cooperation rather than conflict. Your species spent millennia trying to force a merger between organic life and technology, Nathan continued. But look at what happened naturally, when humanity faced the challenges of deep space. We didn't force it. We adapted. We evolved. And maybe we can help you understand a better way. Admiral Hayes exchanged glances with Elena Collins. Are you suggesting an alliance? With the same forces that just tried to destroy our colonies? I'm suggesting something more important, Nathan replied. A chance to change how both our species think about technology, about evolution, about the future of life in space. He turned to face the Admiral, his young face filled with ancient wisdom. The Dreadnought tried to conquer technology. We learned to grow with it. That's a lesson worth sharing, don't you think? Through the neural network linking all the enhanced children, Nathan felt their collective approval. They had done more than just defend their homes, they had revealed a new path forward, a way for organic life to coexist with technology without losing its essential nature. The conference room's displays showed Dreadnought ships powering down weapon systems voluntarily. On the mothership, Vexthor stood from his command throne. Perhaps, the commander said slowly, it is time for the Dreadnought to learn a new way. As the sun of Kepler, 186f rose over the horizon, casting long shadows through the colony's dome, Nathan Collins smiled. The future had arrived, not in the form of warships or weapons, but in the hearts and minds of children who understood that the greatest power wasn't in destroying technology, but in growing alongside it. And that was just the beginning. 1 month after the Battle of Horizon Colony, the galaxy had changed. The massive chamber of the interstellar conclave buzzed with activity as representatives from 100 species gathered to witness something unprecedented, a joint human Dreadnought presentation on the future of organic technological evolution. Nathan Collins stood on the presentation platform alongside High Commander Vexthor, their height difference almost comical. But no one was laughing. The assembled delegates had all seen the recordings of what happened at Kepler, 186f. They had all read the reports of how children across human space had united to turn back a Dreadnought invasion fleet. For millennia, Vexthor's voice boomed across the chamber, his cybernetic components gleaming under the lights. The Dreadnought believed that technological supremacy could only be achieved through force. We rebuilt ourselves, replaced our flesh with machinery, all in pursuit of perfection. Nathan stepped forward, and despite his small size, his presence filled the chamber. Through the vast neural network that now connected enhanced children across human space, he could feel the others watching, lending him their strength and support. But evolution had a different plan, Nathan said, his clear voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. When humanity reached for the stars, we didn't try to conquer space, we adapted to it. And something remarkable happened. The chamber's holographic displays came to life, showing genetic data, brain scans, and real-time demonstrations of enhanced children's abilities. Zara Patel, now stationed on a research vessel near Alpha Centauri, manipulated complex space traffic patterns with a thought. The Rodriguez twins, monitoring solar flare activity on New Eden, predicted and redirected dangerous electromagnetic bursts before they could threaten colonial installations. We're not cyborgs, Nathan continued. We're not artificial. We're the next step in human evolution, born ready to interface with technology not as masters or slaves, but as partners in exploration. The displays shifted to show the progress of the past month. Enhanced children working alongside Dreadnought engineers, teaching them to understand technology as an extension of organic life rather than a replacement for it. New hybrid systems, designed with input from both species, that worked in harmony with their users instead of dominating them. Admiral Hayes, standing with the Earth delegation, stepped forward. What these children represent is more than just a tactical advantage or a scientific breakthrough. They represent a new way of thinking about our relationship with technology, with space itself. The chamber erupted in discussion as delegates processed the implications. Some species had already reported similar evolutionary adaptations among their own young. Others wanted to know if the process could be replicated, studied, understood. But it was Jean Ho, speaking through the neural network from his new role as human Dreadnought liaison, who put it best, we're not here to replace the old way of doing things. We're here to build bridges, between organic and digital, between species, between stars. Nathan felt a surge of pride through the network as other enhanced children added their voices, their experiences, their hopes for the future. Each of them had a story, of discovery, of fear turned to understanding, of power used not to dominate but to connect. High Commander Vexthor, who just a month ago had been ready to destroy Horizon Colony, now stood as a symbol of change. His cybernetic components had been modified with help from the enhanced children, working in harmony with his organic systems rather than suppressing them. The Dreadnought Empire, he announced, formally recognizes the sovereignty of human space and the unique evolution of its children. Moreover, we offer our knowledge, our resources, and our partnership in understanding this new path forward. The chamber's atmosphere shifted from tension to excitement as species after species stood to pledge their support for the joint human Dreadnought initiative. Research programs, cultural exchanges, technological sharing agreements, all centered around understanding and fostering natural technological evolution rather than forced enhancement. Nathan looked out at the assembled delegates, feeling the weight of the moment. Through the neural network, he sensed Zara's quiet confidence, Jean Ho's steady determination, the Rodriguez twins' boundless enthusiasm. They were no longer scattered individuals with strange abilities. They were the pioneers of a new age. A month ago, Nathan said, his voice carrying the echoes of every enhanced child connected to the network, we proved that humanity's children could defend themselves. Today, we prove something more important, that we can build a future where such defense isn't necessary. The chamber erupted in applause. But Nathan wasn't finished. He turned to face Vexthor, extending his hand in a gesture that would be photographed and transmitted across the galaxy. The stars are vast, he said as the Dreknid commander carefully shook his small hand. But they're not barriers. They're bridges, waiting to be crossed. And together, enhanced humans, Dreknid, and every species willing to learn and grow, we're going to cross them all. As the applause washed over them, Nathan felt the pride and joy of every enhanced child in human space. They had done more than win a battle or prevent a war. They had opened a door to a future where technology wasn't a tool to be mastered or a force to be feared, but a partner in the greatest adventure of all, the evolution of life itself. The next stage of human history had begun. And this time, everyone was invited.